Hello, everyone, and welcome to
The Movie House.
Today we're going to talk to you about a movie from 2023 called Jesus Revolution, starring Kelsey Grammer and Jonathan Rami,
I'm not sure.
guy who plays Jesus
On The Chosen.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I really liked it. It was very well done. It's a true story
Right.
that took place in the 70s, I believe, the early 70s. And I liked it. I thought it told the story very well, very clearly. It showed the characters, the main characters, very well. And I found it very interesting. I mean, this is an actual part of Christian history and a turning
American
point
history.
in American history as well.
Yeah, we were very, very young children at the time this took place, but I do recall references to long-haired friends of Jesus. There's a line in a song about long-haired friends of Jesus and the Jesus Revolution and things like that, and hippies for Jesus. I vaguely recall that kind of stuff being discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is what that movement was all about, where this older preacher has a church in California. And
That's literally dying.
right. It's very conservative. And then he crosses paths with this hippie. And the hippie's a Christian. And
A strong Christian, too.
starts to share about his perspective as far as his generation is concerned and his fellow young people's outlook towards Jesus and salvation and the Bible. And I think Kelsey Grammer does a good job of showing his character has a bit of a struggle taking the first steps into embracing this young man as a person, as a fellow believer, and then as someone who would potentially be sitting in his pews every Sunday. But they really do a nice job of showing him going through that process and then the results.
Yes, I agree. It's two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's interesting, though, is because the hippies, most hippies were into drugs,
Right.
sex, love and rock and roll, peace. Everybody else was square, which I thought that was interesting, is that, well, you're too good and you're too pure and you're too conservative. So you're square and you're boring and life should be lived as an adventure. But that's very self-centered and self-seeking too. And so it's interesting how they both kind of start meeting in the middle, though, as well, because like Kelsey Grammer, he loosens his tie. He's not going to wear his tie all the time. And the hippies occasionally wear shoes,
Right.
know? And so it's just interesting because that's, when you think hippie, that's what you think of. But these were hippies for Jesus. And they're like, we're not doing drugs. We got away from drugs because drugs were not the answer. Right. Jesus is the answer.
Right. And as the young hippie leader, Lonnie Frisbee is the character's name, who was a real guy.
Real person.
Explains in the movie to Kelsey Grammer's character that these people out there that are living the hippie lifestyle, they're looking for God.
Yeah.
They're just looking in all the wrong places. And so they need somebody, or many somebodies, to show them this is what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jesus, and here's where you can find him. And they several times throughout the movie, they all hold up their Bible and they say, "This is the Word of God. Let's open it and see what He has to say." And that's Christianity.
Yeah. And that was the problem, right? It became a revival, and we need revival today as well. And the thing was that they thought they weren't welcome in God's house because of how they looked. And some churches were like, ugh. And God's never that way. Never was. They lost sight of that. So that was good to realize that you are shutting people out who need Jesus. I mean, you get rid of your sin and you embrace God, but you can't lock the door against people because they're looking. They're
Right.
looking.
Yeah, and it's a very human thing. It's like, well, I want to hang out with people who are like me. They dress like me, they talk like me, they act like me. And
Because that's where we're comfortable.
right. And so when somebody who looks different, talks different, and maybe thinks a little different, but is still a believer comes into your life, and you don't have the option of saying, well, I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm not going to let you come to my church.
Right.
That's not the Bible. That's not what Jesus taught.
Right.
So it was convicting in that respect because we all have biases that we don't even realize we have. And this was a good reminder that even today, people of all walks are welcome.
Yes.
And you don't give certain people the front pews out of respect for them and let other people force them to sit in the back. It's not how you do it.
Right. Even the Bible teaches that.
That's right. That's biblical.
That's biblical. But again, it was good because they weren't in sin. They got rid of their sin. They took Jesus.
Right. And it showed too. True story of Greg Laurie and his girlfriend at the time, Kathy, who were hippies, who got into drugs and sex and all that stuff, and got out of it because they found Jesus and a real inner peace and a real
Relationship with him.
with God that they didn't know that's what they were looking for the whole time. But once they found him, they latched on with both hands, and they're still involved. Greg Laurie still is a pastor out in California, a very large church, and he and Kathy are still married. Spoiler alert, still married 50 years later.
Yeah.
And that's a great, great thing and great testimony and great story.
Yeah. Good movie. I highly recommend it.
Okay, that's it for us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.